Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
Mama! Leah cried out in alarm when she saw Lux enter the room carrying her unconscious mama in a blanket. What happened? Alexa immediately checked her mother's condition as soon as Lux laid her down on the bed. Ronan knocked her unconscious and tried to rape her, Lux replied. There was no time for him to sugarcoat things, so he bluntly told the truth. Impossible. Emily immediately rejected Lux's words. Uncle Ronan would never do such a thing. The pretty girl was about to follow up on her declaration, but when she saw Barca enter the room, a scream uncontrollably escaped her lips. This was the first time she saw a scary-looking monster, and it made her faint. Eiko, swallow her, Lux ordered. Pa. Eiko obeyed her papa's orders and swallowed the unconscious girl, which made Leah's and Alexa's eyes widen in shock. Don't worry, your sister is safe, Lux explained. Eiko just stored her inside her body and didn't eat her. Leah, who treated Eiko as her new friend, picked up the baby slime and lightly shook her body. This act made Eiko giggle as her body jiggled due to Leah's shaking. Take this, Lux, Barca said as he took a purple potion bottle from his storage ring. This will wake that woman. Lux didn't hesitate and, with Alexa's help, he gently poured the contents of the bottle inside Sarah's lips. Half a minute later, the beautiful woman's eyes fluttered open as she regained consciousness. Mother, are you fine? Alexa asked worriedly. Alexa? Sarah winced due to the sudden yet fleeting pain that she felt inside her head. Her mind felt groggy and she still couldn't think properly. However, when the memories of what happened earlier came back to her, she almost bolted out of the bed to summon her weapon. Fortunately, instead of seeing Ronan, the first man he saw was Lux, which made her regain her composure. Where's that bastard Ronan? Sarah asked. And who is he? Sarah also noticed Barca at the corner of the room, which made her frown. But after sensing no hostility from the half-orc, she lowered her guard as she tried to assess their current situation. Even so, she could hear loud explosions going off in the surroundings as if they were currently in the middle of a battlefield. Ronan has been dealt with temporarily, but he will most likely be back, Lux explained as calmly as he could. We need to get out of here now before his reinforcements arrive. Your daughter, Emily, has already been swallowed by Eiko. She's safe now. If we want to escape from here, all of you must cooperate with me and allow Eiko to swallow all of you. Sarah took a deep breath before looking at her eldest daughter with a solemn gaze. Leah, Alexa, we need to leave our home to see your father, Sarah explained. Right now, our family is facing difficult times, and I am afraid that without your father here, none of us will be safe. I understand, Mother, Alexa nodded. I will cooperate. I will cooperate as well, Leah said while still holding Eiko in her hand. Lux looked at Sarah's two daughters and smiled. Good. Don't resist and allow Eiko to swallow the two of you. We need to leave at once. Half a minute later, Alexa and Leah were stored inside Eiko's body. The baby slime was about to swallow Sarah next, but unexpectedly, the maid of the house, Marie, as well as the Ausborn family's other retainers, rushed into the room with anxious looks on their faces. My lady, monsters have started to appear in the residence, Marie reported as she tried to cover her torn dress with a towel. Marie, what happened to you? Sarah asked as her face distorted into rage. Nothing happened, my lady, Marie replied. Monsters suddenly appeared out of nowhere and attacked the people that tried to. Marie couldn't bear to continue what she was going to say and simply burst into tears. The other maids cried as well, while the injured soldiers looked down on the floor as if they were ashamed for not being able to protect their master's residence from those who tried to defile it. More explosions reverberated in the surroundings, and this time, shouts of fear, anger, and surprise could be heard from outside of the residence. Can we take them with us? Sarah asked. They've been loyal to our family for years. I can't bear to leave them behind like this. Lux sighed before nodding his head. Eiko, summon your clones. Pa. Sarah explained to their retainers to not resist as they got swallowed by the clones of the baby slime that would take them to safety. You too, Lady Sarah, Lux stated. Allow Eiko to swallow you as well. Thank you, Lux, Sarah replied. Good luck with your escape. Lux gave Sarah a reassuring smile, despite the fact that he was feeling very anxious about their current situation. Once Great General Garrett's wife was stored safely inside Eiko's body, Lux finally glanced at Barca and nodded his head. The half-elf jumped outside of the window and gazed at the smoke that was rising up from the nobles' district due to the battle that was raging between the 4 orc warlords and the high-rankers that accompanied Ronin to the Ausborn residence. Arise. Lux raised his hand and summoned his undead legion to his side. He also summoned his clones, further increasing the number of fighters that would do his bidding. Eiko copied her Papa skills, further increasing the number of undead warriors, steel golems, and plague wing gargoyles. Ha ha ha, what a sight! Asmodeus chuckled as he, too, summoned his clones and unleashed his own undead legion. To think I would live to see this day. To think I would die to see this day. Currently, Lux's army numbered over a whopping 25,000 strong. Most of the undead army was summoned by the 50 liches, who could revive 50 zombies each, all test NOVL on novel ben/cm. Since Lux's, Eiko's, and Asmodeus clones could summon these liches as well, the number of undead in Lux's arsenal swelled to such a degree that he could destroy a town if he wanted. If possible, avoid killing people, Lux ordered. Our goal is to ruin Ronin's reputation. I'll leave this matter to you, Asmodeus. Understood, Master. Asmodeus patted his chest with confidence. Leave this to me. Please, escape the city as fast as you can. Lux gave the city one last glance before asking Eiko to swallow him. Mistress, be careful, Asmodeus said softly. Draven, protect them. With my life, Draven replied as he merged with Eiko's shadow. The 3 baby slimes, with Eiko as the lead, burrowed into the ground. There was a barrier protecting the city, but it didn't cover the earth below. Because of this, Eiko managed to sneak past it, helping Lux to infiltrate the city. She was going to use the same method in order to escape it and bring her papa and the people inside her body to safety. Asmodeus, who had been given full control of Lux's undead legion, used the skill skeleton make and created a megaphone that would allow his voice to be heard through the entirety of the city. Listen, citizens of the Hakka dynasty, Asmodeus shouted. Today, our great commander, Ronin Asinus, declares a coup against the royal family. Those who have long wished to replace the tyrant king should rise up and join our cause. All forces attack the castle. The undead legion then rushed towards the royal palace, making those who were in the way scream and run to safety. The unholy army didn't even give these people a second glance as they executed their mission. A mission that would go down in the history books and would be retold countless times by historians in the years to come. As per Lux's orders, none of the undead harmed the innocent and simply charged toward the castle gates. The soldiers tasked with protecting the castle began to fight against the undead legion, but they were simply too many. Not to mention that most of the skilled warriors had been drafted to go to the war, which meant that the capital's defenses weren't that strong. Ronin, who heard Asmodeus' declaration, roared in anger and rushed toward the undead legion, wanting to decimate them all. However, a familiar half-orc appeared in front of him and smashed a fist into the side of Ronin's face for a 3rd time. Barca and the orc warlords had remained in order to deal with the high-rankers, leaving no elite fighter available to deal with the undead legion, who beat up all opposition. While all this was happening, Asmodeus was busy shouting his propaganda, rebranding Ronin's name as the leader of the rebel army. The skeleton soldiers didn't kill anyone, not even the enemy soldiers who were trying to stop them. Lux had made a promise to Great General Garrett that he wouldn't start a killing spree in the capital city just in case their escape didn't go according to their plan. For the most part, only the noble district suffered major damage as the orcs and the high-rankers fought, leaving most of the commoners' district intact. Just as the undead legion reached the castle gates, a booming voice spread across the capital city of the Hakka dynasty. "Foul creatures! You dare stain this land with your blight!" Holy flames descended from the sky, annihilating nearly half of the undead legion with a single strike. "Barca, it's time to go," Baranar said as he appeared beside their leader. "A saint is nearing the city. Get your Avrite ovals at no/v/e/lbn.com." Barca narrowed his eyes in the direction a powerful life force was coming from. He had long known that the Hakka dynasty had a saint, and they had already added this variable in their rescue operation. "Let's go," Barca ordered. "Let's go back to the Blackrock clan." He, Baranar, and the other orc warlords turned into particles of light as they disappeared from where they stood. The effect of Heaven's Call, EX, allowed Lux to summon any of his guild members to his location. However, his guild members could cancel this summoning effect anytime, allowing them to return to where they came from before they were summoned. This was similar to how Lux summoned Sid and Scarlet whenever he needed their help. Every time the summoning ended, the two assassins would return to the place where they had been summoned from. Asmodeus glanced in the direction of the orcs before scratching his head. "I need more reinforcements," Asmodeus muttered. "I guess I can't be too picky. Hey, you lot, just summon everything you can summon over there." The liches looked in the direction where the Archlich was pointing and nodded their heads. Hakka Dynasty's marketplace. While a great battle was taking place in the noble district and near the castle gates, most people simply watched from afar. None of them wanted to get entangled between the rebel forces, which were led by Commander Ronan, and the royal guards, who were doing their best to protect the royal family from those who tried to overthrow their rule. When they saw the divine flames descending from the sky, all of them were awed due to how magnificent it looked. While this was happening, a commotion suddenly erupted in the marketplace. "What is happening?" a butcher exclaimed in fright as the meat he was selling suddenly came back to life and merged together to form a zombie boar whose eyes glowed eerie red. The zombie boar gave the butcher a sidelong glance before snatching its leg from the butcher's hand with its snout, scaring the latter into screaming like a little girl. The boar ignored the butcher's screaming as its leg reattached itself to its body, allowing it to move properly. With one mighty squeal, the zombie boar charged toward the palace to help its brethren in their time of need. Zombie chickens, ducks, cattle, and other beasts that were sold for their meat suddenly came back to life and made a beeline toward the palace, forcing all the bystanders to move aside to let them pass. The liches, who were responsible for reviving these creatures, all covered their faces in embarrassment. Never in their unholy lives did they think that a day would come when they had to rely on this strategy to help bolster their forces. Only Asmodeus laughed when he saw their reinforcements coming to aid them in the fight against a saint. Of course, he knew that they had no chance of winning, so he decided to go out with a bang. Skeleton make. Asmodeus summoned a giant bone bazooka and aimed it at the royal palace. "Eiko and I have been saving this trump card, but I guess now is a good time to use it." Asmodeus summoned a giant skeleton bomb and loaded it inside the bone bazooka. After making sure that the royal castle was within its strike range, the Archlich snapped his fingers, and the bone bazooka unleashed the destructive cannonball that was filled to the brim with Eiko's blast bombs. "Praise the sun," Asmodeus said using the bone megaphone while raising both of his hands in the air in a gesture of welcome. A moment later, a loud explosion shook the entire capital city of the Hakka dynasty. Half of the royal palace, which symbolized their dynasty's sovereignty, was blown apart by Asmodeus' parting shot. The Archlich made sure to aim at the area where he couldn't feel any life force to ensure that he wouldn't accidentally kill anyone. "It's a pity," Asmodeus chuckled as he watched the divine flames descend towards him from the sky. "If only my master wasn't soft-hearted, I would have exterminated the royal family with that single shot." Those were the last words that Asmodeus said before he, and the liches that were standing by his side, turned to ashes. Although there was regret in his voice, he was still happy that he created as much destruction as possible before the saint finally got rid of him. This incident would be known in the history of the Hakka dynasty as the day when the living dead rebelled against the reigning royal family. However, historians made sure to write only the facts about the incident and added a note in their records that no one, except the undead, died on that fateful day. The three baby slimes were unaware of what was happening above ground, as they took turns digging a path under the ground. Lux, who was inside Eiko's body, was able to communicate with her and guide her as they escaped the capital city of the Hakka dynasty, undetected by anyone. As Lux could share senses with Asmodeus, the half-elf witnessed the Archlich's move in his final moments. He couldn't help but be amazed at the boldness of his subordinate. Part of the teenager wanted to know how the royal family would react after this attack in their capital city, which many believed was safe from any kind of retaliation from their enemies. However, since the Hakka dynasty had a saint, he didn't dare take the risk of traveling above ground in case that powerful being was keeping an eye out for any suspicious activities in his domain. After 2 days of traveling underground, Eiko and her clones unknowingly went past the returning human army, who was still not aware of what transpired in their capital city. Although traveling underground was hard, it was far safer than being discovered above ground. Finally, on the 3rd day, Lux deemed it safe and ordered Eiko to return to the surface so that the baby slime could rest. "You did well, Eiko," Lux said as he patted the exhausted baby slime, whose eyes were drooping due to drowsiness. "Sleep well. I'll take over from here." "Huh." Eiko replied before yawning and closing her eyes to sleep. Lux summoned Jed. The Thunder Ward King ran across the skies as fast as he could. After a day, they finally arrived at the border of the Wanted Kingdom, where the orcs patiently waited for the half-elf's arrival. A few hours later, Lux arrived at the capital city of the orcs, which was currently under reconstruction. The first thing he did was to see his master, Randolph, Grandma Annie, Laura, Livia, Gerhardt, and Cephas. His companions were busy helping with the reconstruction, which made the orcs have a very good impression of them. "You're finally back, Lux," Randolph said as soon as the Thunder Ward King landed on the ground. "Was your sightseeing trip in the Hakka dynasty fun?" "Yes, Master," Lux replied. "I would have stayed longer if I didn't fear losing my life." Randolph chuckled as he patted his disciple's waist. He was very proud of his disciple and even thought that the half-elf was just as handsome as he was when he was in his teenage years. "I'm sure that the orcs have already informed Lady Aviana and Barca about your arrival," Randolph stated. "It is best to not keep them waiting." Lux nodded and bid his companions farewell for the time being. There were more pressing matters waiting to be taken care of, so he immediately headed to the Orc Chieftain's residence where the orcs and Great General Garrett were waiting for him. "Welcome back, Lux," Lady Aviana greeted. "Barca has told me some of the things that happened in the capital city of the Hakka dynasty, and I have to say, I wish you had summoned all of us. That way, we could have done more amazing things." The Orc Chieftain wasn't able to hide the murderous glint in her eyes, which made Lux shudder. "Fortunately, I only summoned Barca and the Orc warlords to help me fend off the high-rankers," Lux thought. "If I had summoned the entire Blackrock clan, a bloodbath would have definitely happened." In order to change the topic, the half-elf decided to ask how the Great General was doing, which made Lady Aviana snort. "He is doing fairly well," Lady Aviana replied. "Still, I didn't expect that you would negotiate with the Dryad Queen for a vial of the Spring of Life in order to help him recover a bit of his vitality. You're making a very big gamble, half-elf. Do you really think he will uphold his end of the bargain with you?" Lux didn't answer right away because he really didn't know if what he did was right. The only reason he decided to help the former Great General of the Hakka dynasty was because he wanted Garrett to become part of his strength. "I'm indeed unsure of whether he will honor his word," Lux admitted. "But, at the very least, my conscience is clear." The Orc Chieftain shook her head helplessly before heaving a sigh. "You are not part of the Blackrock clan, so I cannot tell you what to do with your life," Lady Aviana stated. "But, know this. If Garrett wishes to threaten my clan again, I will not hesitate to have him executed. I won't care if you stand in my way. We will not spare his life a second time." Lux nodded his head in understanding. "Worry not, Lady Aviana," Lux replied. "When that day comes, I will not stand in your way. I will even help you kill him. He will make a fine addition to my covenant. Lady Aviana nodded. Good. I'd hate it if you became my enemy, Lux. In one of the rooms inside the Orc chieftain's residence, a man with short, white hair sat cross-legged on the floor in meditation. In the past, he looked as if he was only in his early 30s, but now, he looked as if he was in his early 60s. His current state was a far cry from his former self, but he was still in better condition compared to the wrinkled old man with clouded eyes that his wife, Sarah, had seen a few days ago. Lux had negotiated with the Dryad Queen for a few precious drops that came from the Spring of Life, allowing the Great General to regain some of his lost vitality. Although the Great General's rank had regressed from a high ranker to that of a C ranker, Garrett was very thankful that the one who managed to push him into a corner had shown him a great deal of mercy. Not only did Lux spare his subordinates, but the half-elf also helped his family escape from the capital city of the Hakka dynasty and reunite with him in the Wanted Kingdom. When he had met up with Lux to negotiate how the war would end, the half-elf asked him to prove how sincere he was. Knowing that he might be imprisoned for life, or worse, executed for his failure when he returned to the Hakka dynasty, Garrett promised to become Lux's subordinate if he spared the survivors of the war, as well as save his family from the possible retaliation of his enemies. Lux had agreed to help him, but the orcs wanted some assurance. After all, they had lost many of their brethren in the war. In order to settle this dispute, Garrett agreed to surrender all of his legendary equipment, including the national treasure of the Hakka dynasty, to the orcs as compensation for their losses during the war. But that was not enough. At the end of the day, Garrett was still a high ranker, and he posed a significant threat to the people of the Wanted Kingdom. Even the Dryad Queen, Cornelia, was hesitant to compromise. However, Lux convinced all of them to let the war end with a compromise. The Hakka dynasty lost over 6 million soldiers in the war, Lux stated. They won't risk starting another campaign anytime soon. Because of this, the orcs and the dryads reluctantly agreed to Lux's conditions. Garrett losing his rank was part of the compromise, but since Lux had no need for a wrinkled old man who needed to be cared for, he asked the Dryad Queen to give the former Great General a few drops from the Spring of Life in order to regain some of his strength. Lux almost regretted his decision because the Dryad Queen was a very tough cookie to negotiate with. She demanded outrageous conditions such as Lux should give her sisters a child each, making the half-elf start to sweat buckets. If he really were to do that, if Iris didn't kill him, her father, Alexander, certainly would, and this was a bad ending he didn't want to become a reality. Follow the latest novels n/Velbund, com. After many negotiations, the Dryad Queen finally relented and gave Lux what he needed in return for 2 favors that she would ask of him in the future. The half-elf, of course, negotiated that making babies could not be part of either favor. The last thing he wanted to do was to become an irresponsible father who sowed his seeds on seedbeds that only wished to have strong members of their race. Suddenly, Garrett heard a knock on the door, breaking his meditation. "Come in," Garrett said. When the door opened, the former Great General stood up and walked up to Lux with an anxious expression on his face. "Did you succeed?" Garrett asked. "Did you rescue my family?" Lux nodded. "I did. I also brought all of your servants and retainers with me." The half-elf lightly patted the 3 baby slimes that were sleeping on his head and shoulders, waking them up from their slumber. Pa. Eiko sleepily opened her eyes. "Eiko, release Leah and the others," Lux ordered. Eiko yawned for a bit before nodding her head. The 3 baby slimes then simultaneously opened their mouths wide and spit out the people that they had stored inside their bodies. Sarah was the first to recover and looked around her. When her gaze landed on the white-haired man who was looking at her with love and affection, she immediately cried out and ran to him with open arms. The next ones to regain their consciousness were Alexa, Emily, and Leah. At first, they were confused as to who their mother was hugging. However, after taking a good look at the white-haired man, they noticed that his face looked very familiar to them. "Papa?" Leah asked as she anxiously walked towards her mother and father. "Is that you?" "It is me, sweetheart," Garrett replied as he reached out to pat her daughter's head. It is me. Leah then joined her mama and hugged Garrett. Papa, what happened to your hair? Leah asked like the innocent child that she was. Why do you look a bit older? It's a long story, but I will definitely tell you later, Garrett replied before shifting his gaze to his other two daughters, who were looking at him with teary eyes. Alexa, Emily, I miss the two of you very much. Father, Alexa muttered as she walked towards her father to give him a hug as well. But before she could do that, Emily ran past her and hugged her papa while crying out loud. Father, is it true that Uncle Ronan tried to harm our family? Emily asked. Did he really try to hurt Mother? Garrett didn't reply right away. Instead, he glanced at Lux, asking him with his eyes if his worst fears became a reality. Since he didn't know what happened in the Hakka dynasty, he couldn't answer her daughter's question based on his assumption. Lux nodded and confirmed his suspicions. Only after getting the half-elf's confirmation did Garrett's eyes turn slightly cold, making everyone in the room feel as if he had returned to the peak of his strength. Yes, Emily, Garrett replied. He has loved your mother for many years. I had a feeling that he would definitely make his move after assuming that I was dead, so I asked Lux to bring all of you out of the capital and reunite with me here in the Wanted Kingdom. What your father said is true, Emily, Sarah commented. When he and I talked in private, he tried to take advantage of me. Fortunately, Lux was there to help. If he wasn't there, I would have been. Sarah wasn't able to finish whatever she was going to say. The mere thought of what almost happened made her shudder in disgust. She had known that Ronan had feelings for her because he and Garrett had confessed to her at almost the same time. Back then, she had chosen Garrett instead of Ronan because she could faintly sense the dangerous possessive desire that hid in the Vanguard commander's kind smile. Garrett made her feel safe and loved, while Ronan made her feel anxious. Because of this, the decision to marry Garrett was very easy to make. Emily had always been spoiled by her uncle Ronan, so in her heart, she thought that he was a good person. But after hearing what the evil man tried to do to her mother, all the good feelings she had for him disappeared completely. The maids and retainers, who heard this revelation, all felt disgust and anger towards the person that they believed to be the Ausborn family's strongest ally. Never in their wildest dreams did they think that the second person they looked up to aside from Great General Garrett turned out to be a madman who would lust over his best friend's wife and daughters. I'm sorry. Because of me, your peaceful lives have been turned upside down, Garrett said to his family and to his retainers. My loyalty will always be to the Ausborn family, one of the retainers said. Wherever you go, master, I will follow. I feel the same way, the head maid, Marie, said with determination. Wherever Lady Sarah goes, I will definitely be there to support her. We shall stay with you, Great General. We are yours to command. The maids and servants made their determination known, which made Garrett and Sarah feel very blessed to have them accompany them as they started their lives all over again. Everyone, please listen to me first, Garrett said as he looked at the half-elf who had made his life a living hell, yet also contrarily helped him regain his peace of heaven in the world of Elysium. I am no longer the great general of the Hakka dynasty, Garrett stated. All of that is in the past. Right now, I have made an oath to serve a different master. Read lat STCH pictures on N/V/L/B/IDCM. Sarah, Alexa, Emily, Leah, the maids, as well as the other retainers, all looked at the red-headed teenager whom Garrett had chosen to serve. His name is Lux von Kaiser, Garrett said before shifting his gaze to the maids and his retainers. He is my new master and lord. Everyone, hope that you will serve him as loyally as you had served me in the past. Don't judge him because he looks young. If not for him, my campaign against the Blackrock clan wouldn't have failed. He is someone I believe is worth serving, and I'm sure that all of you will feel the same way as I do once you get to know him better. In front of everyone, Garrett knelt like a knight would do to pay homage to their lord. I have broken my oath once to my king by asking my enemy to spare the lives of my soldiers, as well as to save my family, Garrett stated. So, I will not make an oath to you. Instead, I will prove my loyalty through actions, which is what is expected from a knight who has pledged his life to his sovereign. Before Lux could even reply to Garrett's words, he heard several notification sounds in his head, making his eyes widen in shock as several rows of text appeared in front of him. A knight who had lost his honor had pledged his life to serve you. From this moment onwards, Garrett Asprone will become part of your Necromancer covenant. The covenant doesn't differentiate between the living and the dead. All of those who wish to sincerely serve Lux von Kaiser with all of their hearts have the potential to become a member of his covenant. The hidden quest, Saving the Blackrock Clan, has been completed. Everyone that participated in the war will gain rewards, depending on the contribution they have made. The hidden quest, Destroying a Castle, has been completed. Everyone that participated in the war will gain rewards, depending on the contribution they have made. E/N. Bwahahaha. The hidden quest, Praise the Sun, has been completed. Everyone that participated in the war will gain rewards, depending on the contribution they have made. E/N. I'm dying. Kakik. Rows upon rows of texts appeared in front of Lux von Kaiser, stating the rewards that he had received from the quests that had been completed. At the very bottom of the list, a notification with glowing gold letters caught his eyes, which made the half-elf wonder if he was dreaming or not. Lux von Kaiser had reached the limit of the initiate rank. You are strongly advised to visit a temple in order to receive a quest that would allow you to become a ranker. The ranker quest can be taken at any given time. You cannot gain any more stat points than the current limit. Every other free stat point you receive will automatically be converted into gold coins. For a long time, Lux stood rooted in place as he tried to digest everything that was currently in his sight. Garrett looked at his new master with an awkward expression on his face because the latter was looking blankly at him with his mouth agape. He couldn't help but wonder if what he did made the half-elf's brain stop working. After accepting Garrett's pledge and asking the Orc chieftain to give the former great general's family and retainers temporary lodgings, Lux hurried to his own temporary residence and locked the door in his room. He then opened his soul book to double-check the changes in his stats, as well as the rewards he received from the hidden missions that he had unknowingly cleared. Name: Lux von Kaiser. Age: 16, almost 17. Race: half-elf. Rank: Initiate Max. Health: 266,700/266,700. Mana: 571,600/571,600. Strength: 1,957. Intelligence: 2,758. Vitality: 1,867. Agility: 1,707. Dexterity: 1,707. The rewards Lux received after completing the hidden quests were additional stats that easily boosted him to the peak of the initiate rank. The hidden quest, Saving the Blackrock Clan, has been completed. Everyone that participated in the war will gain rewards, depending on the contribution they have made. Rewards: 2,000 free stat points, 5,000 Blackrock Clan reputation points, 500 Wanted Kingdom reputation points, 1 million gold coins. You have gained the right to have an audience with the transcendent twin flames of the Blackrock Clan. Note: this reward is given to those that had participated in the war, including the members of your guild. Bonus rewards: you gain the title Friend of the Orcs. You gain the title Wanted Kingdom Honorary Knight. You are able to choose one Orc-exclusive skill book that is rank 5 and below. The hidden quest, Destroying a Castle, has been completed. Everyone that participated in the war will gain rewards, depending on the contribution they have made. Rewards: discover NW Chapters NN0EL by.com. Lux von Kaiser, his named creatures, as well as beast companions had gained the title Castle Destroyers. Your notoriety points in the Hakka dynasty have increased by 10,000 points. Your name is now feared by everyone, including the royal family. As to whether this is a good or bad thing, only the future can tell. Castle destroyers. When you are participating in a siege against a kingdom, all of your attacks are able to deal 500% more damage against defensive walls, structures, and palaces. This ability is also effective against construct-type monsters, example, golems, that serve as guardians to protect their city or kingdom. The hidden quest, Praise the Sun, has been completed. You have gained the title, Jolly Cooperation. All explosive-type spells, weapons, artifacts, or consumables will have their effectiveness increased by 200% when the sun is present in the sky. Lux von Kaiser, his named creatures, and beast companions will have a 200% increase in mana, stamina, and health regeneration when the sun is present in the sky. E/N. The members of Lux's Necromancer army have become plants. Jolly Cooperation. When Asmodeus is present in the battlefield, he and other Lich-type monsters will have their animate undead quota increased to 100 instead of 50. The effects of this title will only last for a maximum of an hour each day. This ability can only be used when the sun is present in the sky. Ha ha, this is insane. Lux could only chuckle in disbelief after seeing the information in his soul book. The half-elf had already anticipated the possibility that Garrett might become a member of his covenant. But he never expected that he would gain additional rewards now that the war with the Hakka dynasty was over. The bonus titles, Honorary Knight of the Wanted Kingdom, Castle Destroyers, and Jolly Cooperation were all very useful in their own right. As an Honorary Knight of the Wanted Kingdom, Lux would be able to traverse the lands and visit the other pillars without feeling anxious that they would be attacked on their journey. Unlike other kingdoms, there were very few nobles in the Wanted Kingdom. In the Blackrock clan, only Lady Aviana, Barca, and Flamma could be considered nobles. Although the 4 orc warlords played an important role to maintain the stability of their territories, the Wanted Kingdom only recognized Lady Aviana's family as the nobles governing the Blackrock territory. For the Dryads, the only one that held a noble's title was the Dryad Queen, Cornelia. Simply put, only the heads of the pillars and their immediate family were classified as nobles. This was how few nobles were in the Wanted Kingdom, and why many upstart factions and families wished to make their names known as well. Only by making their names known would they be recognized by the pillars as honorary nobles and granted considerable influence inside the kingdom of the spirits. Just as Lux was about to close his soul book, he heard a loud knocking on the door, followed by an excited call from his master, Randolph. Lux, I got this kind of notification informing me that I finished some kind of quest called Saving the Blackrock Clan, Randolph shouted as he knocked on the door. I received gold coins as well as this reputation points thing. My strength has also increased exponentially. Also, I feel more handsome than I was an hour ago. Did you also receive this notification? Lux opened the door and looked at his master with an amused expression on his face. Aside from the phrase, I feel more handsome than I was an hour ago, everything that Randolph had said earlier proved that his guild members who were present in the battle received the rewards as well. Now that I've taken a good look at you, master, you do look more handsome than when I saw you earlier, Lux replied with a smile. It seems that you're getting your second wind in life. Ha ha ha. Stop praising me, my boy, Randolph laughed while resting his hands on his waist. I know that I was born handsome. You were almost as handsome as me when I was your age. Lux couldn't help but shake his head helplessly at his master's over-exaggeration. It seemed that the stats of Randolph's shameless attribute had risen as well. Sid, did you also receive a boost in experience points? Lux asked his loyal assassin, who had stayed in the Blackrock clan to protect the dwarves, especially his sisters, from harm. Yes, master, Sid replied. I have now reached the limit of the initiate rank. All I need to do is visit a temple in order to become a full-fledged ranker. Congratulations. Now, you're one step closer to becoming more powerful. All that I have is because of you, master. I will use this newfound strength to serve you better. Lux was very satisfied with Sid's answer. Unlike Scarlet, who was only loyal to him because she had no choice, Sid was completely loyal to him. Because of this, he gave the dwarf assassin preferential treatment, allowing him to gain experience points by accompanying him on his quests. By the way, Flamma came to find us earlier and said that we can visit the ancestral grounds of the Blackrock clan tomorrow. Randolph's face became solemn after saying these words. He said that we have gained the chance to speak with the transcendent twin flames. I just hope that nothing goes wrong tomorrow. Randolph's voice held a tinge of anxiety, which was perfectly normal. For him, the transcendent flames was the ultimate requirement in order for him to become a grandmaster blacksmith. They were the blacksmiths that were able to craft legendary equipment with the help of the elusive transcendent flames that only a handful possessed. Relax, master, Lux said as he patted the shoulder of his master. I'm sure that all will be well tomorrow. Randolph sighed before nodding his head. I hope you're right, lad, Randolph commented. I hope you're right. Suddenly, Grandma Annie, Laura, Livia, and Sid arrived at Lux's room with happy expressions on their faces. Big brother Lux. I am now stronger than before, Laura stated. Is this because of you? Big brother Lux, Nora and Cora have become stronger as well, Livia reported. They worked hard, right? Lux smiled as he patted the heads of the two adorable dwarves. All of you became stronger due to your own efforts, Lux replied. Both of you worked hard to help the Blackrock clan with their reconstruction by giving them stamina potions that you personally crafted. Because of this, the gods decided to give you rewards for being kind to others. Really? Laura asked with sparkling eyes. Are you telling the truth, big brother Lux? Of course. Lux nodded. You, Livia, Nora, and Cora helped the orcs a lot. Although what you did may seem little in your eyes, for the orcs, it was something that they appreciated from the bottom of their hearts. Laura and Livia hugged each other because they really did their best to help with the meager ability that they had. Even Nora and Cora, the two baby slimes, helped with the reconstruction by using earth magic to build the walls of the houses for the orcs that had lost their homes in the war. Lux, I have also reached the limit of the initiate rank, Gerhardt said as he arrived in Lux's room, eager to inform his temporary leader about the rewards he gained from the battle with the orcs. I knew that I was bound to become a ranker sooner or later, but I didn't expect it to be this fast. By the way, Cephas has also reached the limit, but was too shy to say his thanks to you. Because of this, I'm saying thank you on his behalf. The green-haired half-elf glanced to his side to see the dragonborn, who was leaning on the wall with his eyes closed. Since Cephas didn't say anything to refute Gerhardt's words, it meant that he wanted to thank Lux in his own way. However, his pride as a dragonborn wouldn't allow it. Gerhardt, although this might seem selfish on my part, don't complete the ranker quest just yet, Lux replied. You may visit the temple and get your quest, but it is very important for you to stay an initiate. We still need to go into the sacred dungeon, and rankers are not allowed to enter it. Understood. Gerhardt nodded. He had already decided to accompany Lux and Kai into the sacred dungeon in order to challenge the Gate of Famine. Although he wanted to become a ranker as fast as possible, he was someone who knew how to repay the favors that were given to him. The Rowan tribe had served as his shield against the elves who had exiled him in the past. Cephas' ears perked up after hearing the words sacred dungeon. He didn't have any idea what that dungeon was, but since Lux and Gerhardt were going to go, he wished to go as well. Originally, I planned to leave after I reached the peak of the initiate rank, Cephas thought. But what if something amazing happens while they are in that dungeon? I'd be left out if that was the case. I can't let this happen. I must go with them. After seeing with his own eyes the adventures that Lux was having, the Dragonborn felt compelled to join him wherever he went. He had a feeling that if he missed this opportunity, Gerhardt would surpass him and leave him in the dust. The thing that Cephas loved the most were the rewards he received after completing a very hard quest. For him, being able to accomplish such things meant that his growth had finally begun. Compared to the monotonous days he spent as a royal guard, being with Lux was 100 times more exciting. I am very interested in this sacred dungeon you speak of, Cephas stated without even opening his eyes to look at Lux and Gerhardt. Count me in. Lux and Gerhardt exchanged a glance, and their eyes were saying the same thing. What is this mofo talking about? Visit en Velbend. CM for EU Ovals. Currently, only those who had a quota to enter the domain of the Fallen could enter it. Just because someone wanted to explore its mystery, they would not be able to because of the restrictions that had been set in place. Lux could only take a handful of people inside, and Cephas wasn't one of them. Of course, things would be different if Cephas was his guild member. The red-headed teenager looked at the Dragonborn as he rubbed his chin. "You want to come with us?" Lux inquired to make sure that the Dragonborn was certain of his decision. "It will be very dangerous, you know? You can lose your life at any moment." This time, Cephas opened his eyes and looked at Lux with eyes burning with determination. "I don't care how dangerous it is," Cephas replied. "I'm going." Lux couldn't help but scratch his head at the stubbornness of the Dragonborn, who had no idea what he was talking about. "We'll talk about this later," Lux stated as he shifted his attention to his master, Randolph, Grandma Annie, Laura, and Livia. "Rest early tonight. Tomorrow, we will visit the ancestral grounds of the orcs." Since Laura and Livia said that they received invitations, they would definitely accompany them when they went to the sacred place of the Blackrock clan. Gerhardt and Cephas didn't receive the invitation, so they wouldn't be coming with them. This made Lux wonder if the transcendent flames of the orcs were choosy about the people whom they wanted to speak with. "There's no point in thinking about this now," Lux thought. "I'll find out tomorrow if my hunch is right or not." For the time being, Lux advised his companions to rest up and prepare for their journey tomorrow. As for the other things, he would wait until their visit with the transcendent flames was over. Lux wasn't aware that as he, his companions, and the orcs were celebrating their victory, the war in the other parts of the Wanted Kingdom was growing in intensity. News of their victory had spread across the land and raised the morale of the other pillars, giving them strength to push back the armies that had come to invade their lands. This also allowed Lux's name to be spread far and wide, making the powerful factions and families of the Wanted Kingdom, as well as their enemies, hear his amazing tales, which were too impressive to ignore. Flamma coincidentally arrived right after Lux. Randolph, Grandma Annie, Laura, and Livia finished their breakfast. All test NOVL on novel ben/CM. He was the one assigned to fetch the 5 of them from their temporary residence and bring them to the ancestral grounds of the Blackrock clan because the other orc warlords were busy with the reconstruction of the capital city. Actually, Flamma volunteered to become Lux's guide. He was quite impressed by Lux's performance during the war, so he decided to tag along while the half-elf was still within the Blackrock clan's territory. "Before I take you to our ancestral grounds, I will give the 5 of you some advice," Flamma said as he looked at Lux and his companions with arms crossed over his chest. "The twin flames are sentient entities, so remember to treat them respectfully. If they don't like you, they might burn you to a crisp. So, make sure not to annoy them." Randolph and Grandma Annie nodded their heads and took Flamma's advice to heart. As craftsmen who used flames, they had heard tales of transcendent flames who burned those who tried to acquire them to ashes until nothing was left. Laura and Livia both shuddered after hearing the half-orc's words. They didn't know why they were asked to go to the ancestral grounds, but since Grandma Annie told them that this was a good opportunity for the 2 of them, the twin decided to trust her. Lux only came to see what would happen and ensure that his companions wouldn't come to any harm. After reading the information about the transcendent flames in his Elysium compendium, the half-elf decided to intervene if he sensed that any of his guild members was in danger. After making sure that they understood the danger they were about to face, the half-orc asked everyone to follow him. Flamma led them to a cave that had a maze-like interior. Several branching paths would appear from time to time, which were meant to give those who wanted to reach the Blackrock clan's ancestral grounds a hard time. The journey to the Blackrock clan's ancestral grounds took 2 hours, and by the time they got there, Laura and Livia were already exhausted from having to walk the whole way. Randolph and Grandma Annie weren't faring too well either, and seeing this, Flamma decided to let everyone take a brief rest before letting them meet the transcendent flames. "So, will you leave the Blackrock clan after you're done with your business here?" Flamma asked Lux, who was feeding Aiko some red berries. "Yes," Lux replied. I still have to make my preparations to explore a dangerous dungeon when I get back. Oh, how dangerous are we talking about? Flamma inquired. Since they were having a break, the half-elf decided to tell Flamma, as well as his guild members, what the sacred dungeon was like. My mother said that there are some dungeons that have strict restrictions, Flamma commented. But I have never experienced them myself. From what I can tell, that domain of the Fallen is way out of your league. I am surprised that a bunch of apostles and initiates are able to traverse a land filled with Daimos and Argonaut-ranked monsters. Well, many did die at the beginning, Lux stated. It was only recently that we managed to reach the dungeon's entrance without anyone on our team dying. Sounds like a good place to explore. Flamma smirked. The greater the danger, the greater the rewards. I can't refute that, Lux replied. After finishing the missions inside the sacred dungeon, the half-elf had gained many rewards, allowing his rank to increase by leaps and bounds. He was nearly 17 years old and was only a step away from becoming a ranker. Despite coming to Elysium later than everyone else, he had surpassed his peers who were ahead of him in the past. The thought made him sigh in his heart. It wasn't easy to get where I am right now, Lux thought. But I'm glad that I survived it all. Back in the kingdom of Guellivan, he had no choice but to fake his death because the Dark Guild, Twilight Reign, had sent assassins to kill him. While he was unscathed and had succeeded in killing Sid and Scarlet before making them his subordinates, that had still been a very dangerous time for him. After experiencing many harsh battles, Lux was confident that even if he faced off against E and D rankers with his current rank, the one who would win would be him. Truth be told, he was excited about the thought of being a ranker and unlocking the next upgrade of his profession. According to his grandma, the last profession would be unlocked once one became a C ranker. However, Lux was different. He acquired the profession Lord of the Dead when he was still an initiate, even though he should have only acquired it after becoming a ranker. Since that was the case, the half-elf was hoping that once he finished the quest to become a ranker, his final profession would be unlocked as well. An hour later, the group resumed their journey. It didn't take long before they finally reached the location of the Twilight Flames, which made the dwarves very anxious. Lux, if ever I turn to ashes, please, dispose of the stash under my bed, Randolph said with a solemn voice. Burn them and make sure that no trace of them remains. Understood, Master, Lux replied. I will protect your dignity and honor. Randolph smiled after hearing Lux's assurance. There were some things that he had kept hidden that if others were to discover them, it would make them look down on him as a person. Lux understood this part very well because he would have done the same, asking someone to reformat the hard drive of his computer if he knew he was going to kick the bucket. His countless files of cultured images and videos were something that shouldn't be seen by anyone. Fortunately, even before he died, his PC had a virus, so he was forced to delete them all, leaving nothing behind. We're here, Flamma said as the temperature in the surroundings became relatively hotter. Once again, be careful of what you say. I don't want to be held responsible if one of you dies on this trip. After saying those ominous words, the half-orc made a gesture for the guards, who were guarding the entrance of the clearing, to allow them to pass. This was the first time that Lux would see transcendent flames, and he wondered if these sentient entities would allow his companions to have a chance to tame them and gain the use of their powers. Lux subconsciously gulped as he gazed at the twin flames that were purple and red in color. The flames were over 3 meters tall. Although they were standing 200 meters away from them, they could still feel the raw power that the twin flames possessed. You have come, Flamma, the purple transcendent flame stated. Has the war come to an end? Lux couldn't determine if the flame sounded like a man or a woman. It sounded somewhere in between, making him suddenly question whether the transcendent flames had genders as well. For now, Your Eminence, Flamma bowed respectfully. We have pushed the invading army back to their lands, and we believe that they will not try to invade us again for a few years. Good, the red flame replied. You have honored your promise to us, and as such, we will also honor our promise to the Blackrock clan. The red transcendent flame paused before transforming into a beautiful woman bathed in red flames. The purple transcendent flame also transformed, but this time, it changed into a man who was bathed in purple flames. Lux subtly summoned his soul book and tried to appraise the two transcendent flames who had taken a human form. He didn't know if it would work, but he deemed that there was no harm in trying. Primeval Twin Transcendent Flames. Rank: SSR+++. Aside from this bit of information, Lux was unable to gain more from appraising the twin transcendent flames in front of him. According to the Elysium Compendium, all transcendent flames were ranked depending on how powerful they were. There are normal transcendent flames, ancient transcendent flames, primeval transcendent flames, and progenitor flames. Ancient transcendent flames were transcendent flames that hadn't been touched for hundreds of years, which allowed them to accumulate power and become stronger. Primeval transcendent flames were flames that were as powerful as ancient transcendent flames, but not as old as them. These flames were born in a very violent way, allowing them to accumulate powers that made them even more powerful than ancient transcendent flames that had been left alone for hundreds of years. Progenitor transcendent flames were the transcendent flames that were born at the same time the world was created. These transcendent flames had taken on new forms and were not restricted to their fiery nature. Legends say that these flames lived alongside the denizens of Elysium, laughing at the follies of all the races since time immemorial. The ones who were in front of Lux now were primeval transcendent twin flames, which made him feel a bit anxious about their attempt to tame them. "The Orc chieftain has already told us your reason for coming," the woman clad in red flame stated. "Because of this, the 5 of you were asked to come here. I will tell you now, all of you should stop your delusion of being able to tame us. Your current strengths are not enough to make us submit to you. Be that as it may, we are grateful for your help in protecting the Blackrock clan," the man clad in purple flames commented. "Because of this, we have decided to give the 5 of you a chance." The man and woman exchanged a glance with each other before nodding their heads at the same time. "The dwarves who specialize in smithing and alchemy, I bestow upon you a fraction of my power," the woman said. "Tame these flames and make them a part of your strength." The woman waved her hand, and 4 red fireballs flew toward the 4 dwarves, giving them no time to react. These fireballs merged with their bodies, making their bodies feel hot. A moment later, Laura and Livia clutched their chests in pain before collapsing to the ground. Their baby slimes, Nora and Cora, called out to them anxiously, but the 2 little dwarves could only writhe on the ground as if they were being burned from the inside out. Randolph groaned as he tried his best to endure the scorching flames that seemed to burn every fiber of his being. His skin had already turned as red as a tomato, and his blood vessels started to bulge under his skin. On the contrary, Grandma Annie was faring a bit better. Her body would shudder from time to time while using her walking cane as a support to prevent her body from collapsing completely. Discover NW Chapters NN0EL. Bide, calm. Beads of sweat formed on her forehead as she did her best to endure the purification that was happening in her body. Although she was worried about her disciples, Laura and Livia, she was unable to help them because the only one that she could help right now was herself. Flamma watched the scene with his arms crossed over his chest. His duty was to bring Lux and the others to have an audience with the transcendent flames, not to help them pass the trial. The red-headed teenager observed the 4 dwarves and wondered if he was allowed to help them, especially Laura and Livia, who looked so pitiful right now. The 2 little girls were crying as they writhed on the ground. Lux couldn't bear to see them in so much pain, so he started to walk in their direction, only to be barred by purple flames that formed a wall in front of him. "This is their trial, and you are not allowed to interfere," the man clad in purple flame stated. "Worry not, I have something for you, and that baby slime on your head as well." The man waved his hand, and 2 fireballs flew in Lux's and Aiko's direction. One of them was a purple fireball, the other was a black fireball. The purple one hit Aiko, while the black one hit Lux. As soon as the two fireballs merged with their bodies, the half-elf and the baby slime immediately felt a very intense burning sensation inside their chests. However, the burning sensation only lasted for a few seconds before everything went back to normal. "Pa. Don't worry, Eiko. I'm fine. How about you?" "Pa. That's good." A few seconds later, several rows of text appeared in front of Lux, informing him of the changes that happened inside his body. "You have acquired the pseudo-transcendent primeval black flames. This black flame is unable to hurt or burn creatures with physical bodies, with the exception of abyssal creatures. This flame is very deadly to corporeal creatures such as spirits, specters, ghosts, and abyssal creatures. The red dragon blood and your unique physique, Immortal Dragon Conqueror's Legacy, are reacting to the pseudo-transcendent primeval dark flames. Congratulations! You are now given the option to choose which flames to use when you unleash your dragon breath. Dragon Breath EX. Red Dragon Flames Default. Pseudo-transcendent primeval dark flames. Eiko, who was perched on top of the half-elf's head, spat a small purple fireball toward the ground. Out of curiosity, Lux opened his soul book in order to check the use of the purple flames that his baby slime had acquired. Eiko has acquired the pseudo-transcendent purple primeval flame. This purple flame is unable to burn anyone. However, it can directly burn the mana of the target, causing them to not only lose their mana, but completely stop their mana regeneration. The target will receive damage equivalent to the amount of mana that was burned by the purple flames. The target's mana regeneration will only return after 10 minutes of being exposed to the purple flames. Constant exposure to the flames will reset the cooldown timer to 0, making it so the target will be unable to regenerate their mana. While under the effect of the purple flames, any consumables or abilities that would regenerate or replenish the mana of the target affected by the purple flames will not have any effect. Eiko now has the option to use the purple flames as her breath attack when she mimics Lux von Kaiser's Dragon Breath EX. Hiss. I pity those that will be on the receiving end of Eiko's breath attack. Lux sucked in a deep breath after reading the information about Eiko's newest ability. The half-elf had to admit that he and his baby slime had gained a new power that would definitely help them in the future. However, that didn't change the fact that he was still worried about the condition of the dwarves that were on the other side of the purple wall of fire that was in front of him, hiding them from his view. Lux's unique body physique made him immune to fire. However, he still didn't want to risk testing it out on the primeval transcendent flames, whose powers he couldn't even calculate through his Elysium compendium. Suddenly, the purple wall of fire that was blocking his view vanished, allowing him to see the 4 dwarves, who were all lying on the ground, unconscious. Only Nora and Cora, who were lightly tapping Laura's and Livia's faces, were awake. But something caught Lux's eyes which made him pause for a bit. The dwarf who he assumed to be his master Randolph looked like someone in his early 40s instead of someone in his late 70s. The same could be said for Grandma Annie, who had also regained her youth and, to a certain extent, her beauty, making Lux wonder if this was the effect of the transcendent flames that had entered their bodies. After regaining his composure, Lux immediately checked the conditions of his companions and was relieved to find out that all of them were still alive. The 2 little girls barely passed, the woman clad in red flames declared. But since they passed, they are now able to wield a fraction of my power. The woman then glanced at the 2 older dwarves who seemed to have gained a lot from absorbing the flames that she had bestowed upon them. The older dwarves have used the element of fire all their lives, the woman said. Because of this, they had an easier time absorbing the power of the flames. However, their bodies are already old and frail. Because of this, the flames decided to have them undergo a kind of rebirth, giving them bodies that will be able to withstand their newfound powers. Let them rest for a day or 2. After that, they will be back to normal, the man clad in purple flames commented. With this, all debts have been paid in full. You may go, and make sure to keep what you witnessed here today a secret. If others were to know that we can bestow a fraction of our power to those whom we deem worthy, Many more would covet our powers, which would then lead to greater conflicts. Lux bowed his head gratefully to the two primeval transcendent flames that had allowed him and his companions to gain the power of pseudo-transcendent flames. Although they weren't able to tame the transcendent flames themselves, he was very satisfied with this outcome. He was even looking forward to how his master, Randolph, and Grandma Annie would react after seeing the major changes that had been made to their bodies and appearance. Although his master had become younger and regained a bit of his handsome features, the half-elf could say with confidence that he was still more handsome than his master, who had been given a second chance at life. The journey back to the Blackrock clan's capital city didn't take too much time since the only ones that were traveling were Lux and Flamma. Eiko had swallowed the 4 unconscious dwarves, while Nora and Cora sat on Lux's shoulder. According to the transcendent twin flames, the dwarves would remain unconscious for half a day because their bodies were still adjusting to the new powers they received. When Lux asked the man clad in purple flames why he and Eiko didn't lose consciousness after absorbing the pseudo-transcendent flames, the latter only told them that their bodies were already strong enough to withstand the powers that they acquired. Lux didn't know if this was because he was at the peak of the initiate rank or because his body constitution was a bit special. Nevertheless, he was still satisfied with the power of the flames he received. The two arrived at the city just before sunset. The orcs had made a massive bonfire in the center of the plaza and seemed to be preparing to celebrate the end of the war. However, before anything else, he made sure to visit the orc chieftain and report everything that happened in the ancestral grounds. Before they left, the twin flames told Lux that if his master, Randolph, Grandma Annie, Laura, or Livia needed to use their primeval flames to craft something beyond their current capabilities, they were free to come to them for help. Of course, these extra services didn't come for free. In return, the Transcendent Flames said that they would ask Lux for a favor in the future in exchange for their help. Find EU chapters on nv/lbi.com. The half-elf didn't mind this condition because he was already joined at the hips with the Blackrock clan. Currently, none of the orcs wanted to leave his guild, and all of them were enjoying the guild buffs, as well as the bonus stats that they received when they joined. Even the 4 orc warlords had insisted that they wouldn't leave, even if Lux were to kick them out of the guild by force. Of course, Lux wouldn't do that. After all, wouldn't it be a shame to kick out 4 alpha-ranked Argonaut beasts that he could summon at any time to help him? Only idiots would do that. Lux wasn't an idiot. The stronger his guild members were, the better. It seems that the twin flames took a liking to you, Lux, Lady Aviana commented after Lux finished his tale. So, what do you plan to do next? Although the war against the Hakka dynasty is over for now, the other pillars are still fighting against the other kingdoms who plan to invade the Wanted Kingdom. Cornelia and her dryads will be leaving tomorrow in order to assist them. They plan to rest properly tonight to recover their strength. Do you wish to accompany them? I'm sure that the other pillars would greatly appreciate your help. Lux firmly shook his head. If possible, he didn't want to stand out too much in the Wanted Kingdom as that could make him gain more enemies than allies like the Blackrock clan and the Dryads. He and the Dryad Queen had made a compromise that she and her sisters, who were now honorary members of his guild, would keep his secret. Truth be told, he felt as though recruiting the entirety of the Blackrock clan was already pushing it. Never in his wildest dream did he think that the Dryad Queen, as well as 20,000 Dryads, would become his guild members as well. Although they had been given the right to reject his request to help him during his time of need, having them around was still a good thing. I'm sure that the longer they stay in the guild, the more they will want to be part of it, Lux chuckled in his heart. Once you taste the forbidden fruit, you won't be able to forget it. It is only a matter of time before all the Dryads freely give me their cooperation. There are still many things I need to take care of back in my hometown, Lady Aviana, Lux replied. However, if the Hakka dynasty decides to retaliate, I will return to the Blackrock clan to lend my aid. Also, I would greatly appreciate it if you finish building the teleportation gate that will connect the Blackrock clan's capital to our main guild headquarters as soon as possible. This way, you and your people will be able to travel to the Dragon Kingdom. Lady Aviana nodded her head in understanding. Worry not, Lux, Lady Aviana stated. Although we are far from the center of the world, we have heard of the majestic floating islands of Karshvar Draconis. We look forward to seeing this legendary kingdom of the dragon race. Before you go, make sure to enjoy the celebration. Thank you, Lady Aviana, I will. Good. After bidding the orc chieftain farewell, the half-elf returned to his temporary residence and asked Aiko to release the dwarves so he could carry them to their own beds. When this task was done, Lux decided to take a nap for an hour or two before joining the celebrations. The journey to the Blackrock clan's ancestral ground wasn't that long, but he still felt exhausted. It only took Lux 10 seconds after laying his head on the pillow to fall asleep. Aiko, on the other hand, slept on Lux's chest. Just like the half-elf, the baby slime was also tired, so it didn't take long for her to fall asleep as well. While this was happening, Gerhardt and Cephas were having a chat near the bonfire and talking about their future plans. You said that you want to follow us to the sacred dungeon, but that's not possible, Gerhardt said as he cracked open some nuts. This place that we are going to is a restricted area controlled by several kingdoms. The quota is restricted, and Lux can't freely bring a random stranger inside the domain of the Fallen. It will be best if you return to Karshvar Draconis and resume your duties as a royal guard. Don't tell me what to do, Lowlander. Cephas snorted. You just want to hog all the rewards for yourself, right? Do you really think I'm that ignorant? I already said that I am going. Your words mean nothing to me. Gerhardt chuckled before drinking the orc mead that tasted of herbs and spices. There are some things that you can't get even if you want them, Gerhardt commented after drinking half of his mug. The same applies to the place that you want to go to but are unable to go to due to the restrictions. I'll be honest with you, the only people that Lux will bring to the sacred dungeon are his people. This means that he will only bring those he trusts. I admit that you are strong and your presence will help his cause greatly, but at the end of the day, you are an outsider. You are not part of Lux's guild, and there is no merit for him to bring you to the sacred dungeon. Instead of bringing a dragonborn, he might just bring other people, like Old Man Randolph or Grandma Annie. The dragonborn scoffed after hearing the half-elf's words. Those dwarves are weaklings, Cephas stated. Why would he bring a bunch of weaklings into a dangerous dungeon? Wouldn't they just drag them down? Gerhardt didn't reply right away. Instead, he drank the rest of the mead in his mug before pouring himself another one. You make it sound as if Lux needs us to fight his battles, Gerhardt replied. In this war, he fought on the front lines with his summons. The two of us simply played supporting roles in the war. While we also charged at the enemy's army, it doesn't change the fact that even if we weren't there, the result would have been the same. Since that is the case, he can bring anyone he wants with him and let them gain the rewards for clearing the mission. The dwarves you called weak were merely apostles when they joined Lux on this journey. Now, look at them. They are already initiates. How old are Laura and Livia? Do you know what their ranks are? They're still young, yet they are already halfway to becoming initiates. I think you're making a big misunderstanding here, Cephas. Lux doesn't need us. We need him. You understand this too, right? A few months ago, Gerhardt wouldn't have said such a thing. Back then, he believed that he could become a ranker with his own two hands, which was certainly true. However, after joining Lux on his adventures and fighting alongside him, he realized that he had unknowingly become part of something big. Something extraordinary that he never thought was possible. Being a member of the only mythical guild in the world, as well as gaining incredible resources by just being part of it, was like a dream come true. In fact, there were several times when Gerhardt thought that he was dreaming. However, he knew that what he was experiencing was real. This made him want to strive and become stronger than ever before so that someday he would not only stand on the shoulders of giants, but also become one of those giants that could make the entire world tremble under his feet. Cephas quieted down after hearing Gerhardt's words. He couldn't find any words to refute the green-haired half-elf's words because Lux really didn't need their help in the previous war. They had just ridden on his coattails and, although they had also fought hard for the Blackrock clan, it wouldn't change the fact that it was the red-headed teenager that took the brunt of the enemy's attack. The half-elf and the dragonborn, who were always arguing with each other, drank in silence, while the orcs danced to the beat of their drums beside the bonfire, celebrating their victory in the war that had ended several days ago. The celebration was well underway when Lux woke up. The dwarves were still sleeping, so the half-elf let them continue resting after making sure that their conditions had stabilized. Eiko was still half asleep when the half-elf left their residence. She only became fully awake as Lux neared the plaza where the sound of the booming drums reverberated in the surroundings. There, he found Barca discussing something with Garrett, who was holding a mug of mead in his hand. Lux found this scene quite amusing because several days ago, both men were at each other's throats with every intention of killing the other. Now, they were like best friends talking about the battles that they had fought in the past and sharing knowledge about how they dealt with tricky situations. Sarah, Garrett's wife, along with her daughters, was seated at the table of honor beside the orc chieftain's table. Aside from their mother, the three girls had anxious expressions on their faces, which was normal from Lux's point of view. Only when Alexa and Leah saw him did they calm down a bit. For them, Lux was a savior, and being around him gave them a sense of security, compared to being around the orcs who were once their enemies. Of course, not all the orcs approve of having Garrett and his family join them in their celebration. The former great general of the Hakka dynasty was the one responsible for killing countless of their brethren, and they made sure that their displeasure showed on their faces. If not for the fact that the orc chieftain had asked them not to harm Garrett and his family members, they would have already ripped them apart and offered their flesh and blood to the blood gods as sacrifices. Eiko. Leah. The baby slime happily jumped towards the little girl, who caught her with open arms. The two had already become good friends in the short time that they had spent together. Seeing their interaction put a smile on Lux's face, which also decreased the anxiety that the girls were feeling. Up TED chapters N and Velbend, calm. Did you girls manage to get some proper rest? Lux asked as he sat in front of Alexa and Emily. The beds are hard, Emily replied in a disgruntled tone. The room smells like wood, but aside from that, I'm just happy that I am together with my family. Don't worry, you girls will soon be staying inside a castle, Lux replied. I made sure that there are soft beds that you can sleep on. Emily gave Lux the "I don't believe you" gaze, which made the half-elf chuckle. Let me pour you a cup, Lux, Alexa said. Thank you, Alexa. Alexa poured some mead into the mug beside Lux as an act of goodwill. I've heard that you went to the orcs' ancestral lands to pay homage to the spirits guarding their domain, Alexa said. I haven't seen any guardian spirits before. What are they like? Scary, Lux replied in a heartbeat. And extremely powerful. The first spirit guardian I met here in the Wanted Kingdom was a tempest elemental that took the shape of a dragon. I thought I was a goner that time. A tempest elemental? Emily arched an eyebrow. How strong is that tempest elemental? Lux drank some of his mead before answering Emily's question. Argonaut-ranked world boss. Can my father beat it? Not a chance. Even for a high ranker, dealing with an Argonaut-ranked world boss wasn't an easy thing to do. It would take at least 3 to 4 high rankers to fight a beast of that level. It's a shame that my father's rank has regressed. Emily pouted. Now, he's only as strong as mother. Don't worry, Emily, Alexa said. Father can regain the rank he has lost. What is important is that our family is still together. What is the use of having a high rank if we are living apart from each other, or worse, enslaved by other people? After her sister's reminder, a shudder ran through Emily's body, reminded of her Uncle Ronan. She had always trusted him, but after finding out about his lustful desire for her mother and her older sister, Alexa, all the good graces she had for him faded without a trace. Lux, what will happen to us now? Alexa asked. She was a year older than Lux, so the half-elf had asked her to not use any honorifics for him. Because of this, she could call him Lux without worrying about being disrespectful. Your father will be the commander of my non-existent human army, Lux replied. At least, for now. As for you girls, you are free to do whatever you want. Whatever we want? Emily asked. Yes. What do you want to do? I don't know. Emily had been treated with great care by her family and the people around her. The only hobby she had was shopping for trinkets and other accessories that managed to catch her eye whenever she went to the marketplace. After losing that comfortable lifestyle, the 14-year-old girl had no idea how she should act in the new environment she was in. "Don't worry, you will be able to find out what you really want to do in life," Lux said. "My guild headquarters has a teleportation gate that can connect to 2 places. The first one is Leaf Village, which is located in the Kingdom of the Dwarves. The second one will be here in the Blackrock clan's territory. The teleportation gate will be built in about a week. By then, we can return to the Wanted Kingdom anytime we want." Although Alexa was very curious about the Kingdom of the Dwarves, she was more curious about Lux's guild headquarters. "I've never been inside a guild headquarters before," Alexa stated. "Where's your guild headquarters located, Lux?" Lux smiled before pointing up toward the sky. "My guild headquarters is on a floating island," Lux said with a smug expression on his face. "Not only that, but it is also located in Karshvar Draconis, the kingdom of the dragon race." "Is that the truth?" Alexa asked with a smile. Emily arched an eyebrow. "I also find it hard to believe, sister. Maybe Sir Lux is just teasing us." "I'm not," Lux shook his head. "Did you see Cephas? He is a dragonborn who lives in Karshvar Draconis. That alone should give credibility to me, right?" The half-elf pointed at the dragonborn who was drinking his mug in silence beside the half-elf, Gerhardt. Ever since Lux appeared, Cephas hadn't said a word and simply drank and ate in silence, while looking at him with a solemn expression on his face. "Why is he looking at you like that?" Emily asked with an amused smile. "Is he perhaps planning to eat you?" "He can't eat me," Lux replied. "But he can definitely eat you, young lady." "Humph. I'd like to see him try. My father and mother will break his bones." "Ha ha." Lux and the 2 beautiful girls, who resembled their mother, Sarah, talked until late at night. They listened to his stories, and they often wondered if Lux was just exaggerating his claims or telling them the truth. However, one thing was sure. They were looking forward to finding their new purpose in life after losing everything when they left the Hakka dynasty. Although the future was filled with uncertainty, they had a feeling that as long as their family was together, they would be able to overcome all the challenges that the world threw at them, under the guidance of the red-headed teenager who had risked his life to save them from the hands of those who wished them ill in the capital city of the Hakka dynasty.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.